All right, welcome to another Star Wars: The Old Republic video with Soto Desperado. It crapped out on me last time because I was trying to record video in the background. I don't know why it does that, but it does that. So I got Osmongold on there with, I don't understand what it is, but it's like 2 hours. A 2-hour Osmongold video. I'm surprised. But anyway, let me try to do that. There we go. All right. So I'm going to play it. It says Sam Hyde's message for Elon Musk.
I don't even know how to introduce this video. So Sam Hyde is traditionally a funny Joker guy, edgy comedy. Some people think he's like a white supremacist. Other people just think it's a joke. Very, very controversial figure. And he literally put on a suit. He's putting on his serious pants. A lot of people want me to watch this. I've been told that it's stream appropriate because everything else that's like bad has been like bleeped out and cut out.
Glad I caught you.
Oh.
Glad I got you there.
Message for Elon.
Musk. By the way, please don't watch this if you're not Elon Musk, okay?
Okay.
This is a one-off video that we're doing. This is private.
Yeah.
Okay.
Personal. I put this in his email. I don't know how you got this. Unless you're on the Asmongold Discord server.
Welcome back. A Jedi
What?
Must do.
In which case, you know my every move, okay?
Do you guys talk about this a lot on Disc? Is this true? You guys, I had no idea. Oh, wow. Holy shit.
In Asmongold have been planning this for a while.
Wait,
Me and
what?
Asmongold Discord server.
Wait, what?
In which case, you know my every move, okay? Me and Asmongold have been planning this for a while now. Moist Critical's involved.
I didn't know that. I did this? All right, there you go, guys.
And, yeah, I guess if you're on the Moist Critical Discord server, you would have access to this file. So kudos to you, hacker. I don't think Elon's going to watch this. And listen, I know as a comedian...
He will watch this. I can almost guarantee you that he will see this.
And first and foremost, I don't expect people to take me seriously. But
Yeah. He probably
it is a
already has.
fact
Yeah.
that shit posting and public opinion are now intermingled permanently.
Excellent work.
And it's not going anywhere. And that's just the way it is. I get all my
That's
news
right.
from memes, basically. That's how I get my news. Is that how you get your news?
I do too. You can't trust any news. So the only way you can get news is through people who don't care about news. Because they're the ones that don't have an incentive to misrepresent it.
News? How would you even get the news if you weren't looking at memes? You'd watch a show? That's even more fucking
Yeah.
retarded. We turn that off. It's a smart thermostat, so it's going to take 15 minutes to figure out how that fucking thing works. It's very intuitive.
We
I
have
don't
the
know
same thing
why
happen
the Nest
with the podcast.
thermostat is taking you so long to learn and intuit. Okay, a toddler could figure this out. A toddler on an iPad could figure out how to use the Nest thermostat. That's Chris Lynch, by the way, Elon. Do not hire him, okay? He's leaving this job very soon. See, he's white. He's too lazy. Chris, you're so lazy and white. Well, yeah. You guys should have studied
Damn, they started
violin
off
harder
real
as
quick.
kids.
Okay.
I swear to God, Vivek would have figured this out by now. I want to believe that Elon is one of the great men of our age and that he has what it takes to become a 21st century Andrew Carnegie. I think it's important to have...
It's obvious that, Elon is extremely influential. I mean, I think people like to downplay it. He's like one of the richest people, if not the richest person in the world of like all time. And if he's not number one, he's in the top 5. Extremely influential. Yeah, I mean, let's be real, right?
Great men to look up to Trump, Joe Rogan. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah.
Elon, Tucker. And it's not necessarily important that our great men are perfect, but there are symbols of what we could be. I think if Ron Paul took steroids, he would be my number one. That would be my number one guy. You agree? Yeah.
I still have a Ron Paul campaign poster, or a campaign sign from 2008.
I would like to offer you an escape.
Yeah.
An exit from this hole you've been digging. You are a beloved figure. Anytime you do anything remotely based, people lose it. Oh my God, he's based! Yo! He just said that woke liberals aren't cool. He's based. What does he say? Yeah, anytime you post an AI kitten in a MAGA hat, people lose their... He's based! He's looking...
I do think this is true, where, like, so many people, they're looking to, like, get validated for what their opinions are. So anytime that any person with any sort of influence says something that validates them, they lose their fucking minds.
Some people don't know when they've been
Based, man.
Yeah.
For the guy who's the free speech guy. And not only that, but the reasoning from first principles guy,
Yeah.
the logical fallacy guy, the Reddit guy, good faith argue with everybody, you know, whatever. All that shit. Blanket banning groypers, taking away blue checks, changing the algorithm.
People might not know. Groypers are people that are fans generally of Nick Fuentes and are part of the America First movement. A lot of people think they're racist. A good amount of them are. Maybe not every single one, but that's what it is. Yeah, in case people don't know.
Of the site?
They are. I don't want to, guys, I don't want to argue and fight with people about this. I'm just explaining who they are so everybody knows. If you like them, great. If you don't, that's nice. But that's what it is.
100 people ratioed you because there's fucking 50,000 posts.
Yeah.
They're all organic, by the way. This is not some Russian bot farm. It's not some nefarious behind the scenes. Let's mess with Elon. We're going to fuck with him. That's not what...
I don't think that it's really... It's not surprising that a bunch of people from a country feel like the country isn't prioritizing their needs, and then they're getting mad and freaking out over it. I think, I mean, there's examples of, like, Chinese people doing this to, like, foreign people. There's examples of Japanese doing this, examples everywhere around the world of people doing this. Of course it's going to happen in the U.S. as well. Yeah, it's only natural. Yeah, of course.
What it is. It's you tapped into a moist critical. You tapped into a moist critical, and we're back to moist critical. Mainline concern for the American people. And you treated it in a way that was glib and dismissive. You just became a Republican 3 months ago. You're talking about removing a big portion of regular people, root and stem. No. People fucking love you. They will forgive you. Nobody is trying to get you to become turbo, base-pilled, full Pat Buchanan immigration policy. People...
They are, but yeah.
Understand that you are a San Francisco, tech, California, international immigrant. Well, if you want to be a regular tech guy, that's fine. You can do that. You can be Larry Ellison. You can go play on the boat. Nobody's going to give a fuck. Realize what you're fighting for. If you're going to be the tech king, if you've courted the MAGA base, you wanted these people on your side. They're ready to be on your side, but you have to fight not for Ben Shapiro's idea of the country of America, the notion of America as this collection of ideas. That's not what it is. It's Americans. That's who you have to fight for. If you're in America, doing business in America, you want to be the man in America, you have to fight for the American people. You're not fighting for a paragraph. You're not fighting for a set of ideas, man. It's the American people who need your help. That's fundamentally what...
He's right. He's completely right about this. Yep. Absolutely.
Why I think people are pissed off here. And it's an easy fix. Just don't call them retards. Elon, have you met Chris? He's on Asmongold. He's streaming all the time. He's
Oh,
just
God.
playing these games and stuff. He's amazing what the kid does with video games. I can't believe it. People
Wow.
didn't suddenly have a flare-up of India hate. I've been
What did I
monitoring-
do to deserve that? Yeah. He's on. Who's Chris?
the Indian hate websites for a while.
All right,
It's
let me go
actually
back.
set to my with video games. I can't believe it. People didn't suddenly have a flare-up of India hate. I've been monitoring the Indian hate web.
I think that there are a lot of people that don't like Indians, and they think that India is gross, and they don't like the country. I think there's a huge amount of people that are like that. But that's the same with people with any country. I mean, there's no country in the world that there aren't a bunch of negative stereotypes that people would talk about. It's just how it
Sites
is.
for a while. It's actually set to my homepage. I've been checking these websites out. I watch what these people do.
Yeah.
There were very few overt Indian haters spewing their nonsensical filth everywhere 72 hours ago. What happened? Okay? 72 hours ago.
I'm not sure if I would agree with that. I think that there's been a massive uptick in Indian
What have you lost?
negativity. And I think it's been happening in the last 6 months to a year or so.
I can handle
Am I
that.
crazy? Because I feel like it's been happening a lot.
that is
Now,
what-
this dialed it up to 11. Definitely that's true.
I'm sure this one's
But,
bad.
like, I remember Mudahar talked about it, and then after Apu, well, I'm not sure about that. For the past year, yeah, I think there's been a lot of it. Yeah, Barry Stanton, remember him? Oh, there it is. It bled over from Canada. I don't. Yeah, apparently, right? But that's it. It's because of crypto culture. There's tons of memes about Indian employees. Yeah, right. Well, like either way, like I've seen so many photos of like people saying, "Oh, open up Google Maps. Anywhere you go on Google Maps in India, you can see a picture of like you can see garbage in it, right?" Like this has been going on for longer than 3 days. It's been going on for a while. And this is coming from somebody I'd like to go to India, right? Like I think India is cool, right? I mean, but sure, of course, people are going to have bad things to say. They're going to have bad things to say about anywhere. It's true though. You should try it.
Most people in the MAGA
Yeah.
base looked at Vivek Ramaswamy
Yeah.
with some notion of admiration or, hey, that guy says cool stuff every once in a while. Hey, you know what? I think I like
People
that
like
guy.
him. Yeah.
Now, he's got to be deported. Sucks, man. And he's not being deported because of the color of his skin. He's being deported for the content of his character. And I think that
I think that there is a lot of authentic, genuine racial anxiety that exists inside of like the Trump base. And I feel like it's almost like it's like an elephant in the room that nobody's willing to address. But I do think that it exists. And I think that if Vivek was the same type of person and he was just your generic everyday white guy, I think he probably would have gotten better poll numbers. So I do think it's a factor. I absolutely do. But it's not the only factor. Vivek's American? I agree with you. I'm not arguing for racism. I'm arguing that people are racist. Like, that's the point that I'm making. It's two separate things. You don't need to convince me of this. We're discussing a type of thinking. I'm not arguing a point of view.
truly was a mask-off moment where we saw that Vivek Ramaswamy really is just a fucking nerd who needs to go back.
Here's the thing. I actually think Vivek was right about everything he said. I think he was totally right. But the difference is that when you criticize a culture that people perceive you not being a part of, everybody gets super defensive. That's like why, for example, it's okay to make racial jokes about the group that you're a part of. But when people make racial jokes about a group that they're not part of, it's seen as problematic. It's kind of like a implicit understanding. Who would say anything about
What you did
culture?
is different. I
Yeah,
think it's everybody
exactly.
spurgs out. I'm spurging out right now. I'm going to spurg out later, okay? On Chris, Lynch. And also, Indians do cool stuff every once in a while. They get the chest slapping wrestling. You guys watch that action movies. He's shooting a bullet out of the air with a gun. He's flipping over the tuk-tuk. Indian clubs, shoulder rehab, exercise, fantastic. The hate, it's irrational hate.
Are these Bollywood movies? I feel like they basically just take anime and they just have real people do it. I mean, it's like if people were in... it's crazy. It's basically... Bollywood's like anime. Yeah, it's anime with real people.
It's just racism. It's just a nonsensical racism. The hate and racism and anti-Indian sentiment, it's there to the extent that Indians are being used to replace white people.
He's right.
That's it.
Yep.
We have to stop playing pretend.
That's exactly it.
Not talking about exceptional Indians here. And that's why this is sort of spreading like wildfire, people sharing these H-1B lists of what the jobs are. You are not in Calcutta scouting for the next Indian Einstein. You're not. We have to make it to outer space and invent new computers. Let's get to India and get the next Nikola Tesla. That's not what's happening. We're talking about people at fucking gas stations. You bring them over, you put them in a fucking gas station, and then we'll go around all the gas stations in the USA and find the next genius. Well, what if he's not in India? What if he's working at a gas station in North Carolina? He might be there.
I've seen this before, too. So, like, what he's referring to is there were a lot of people that, like, after the H-1B visa, like, controversy happened, a lot of people started linking, like, pictures of people that either had the visas or people that were, like, looking to have the positions filled by people with the visas. And a lot of the positions were just, like, average American jobs, and they weren't, like, you know, high-end systems data analysis at, like, Meta. So that's what he's talking about.
Why don't we bring everybody here, and then we can look for everybody?
Yeah.
That's actually a fucking genius idea. We bring fucking everybody here, and then, like a needle in a haystack, we find the one man who can invent electrical computer.
Oh.
That sounds fucking retarded, and it's not true. You have to at least say that the H-1B program is being scammed. If you don't admit that, then as far as like any type of discussion that goes anywhere is concerned, it's over.
He's right. He's completely right. You can't tell people that you have a program that's for exceptional people, and then people find job listings for being a cashier. You just can't do, like, that. Whether you agree with it or not, it's just not going to sell. Like it or not, he's saying what people won't because of fear of cancellation. Yeah, I mean, I've said this myself. I mean, I try to be the same, right? And so, maybe being a cashier is exceptional. Sure, right? And I'm sure there are exceptional cashiers, but there's a lot of them here. The idea is that these visas are there as a means to solve job vacancies that could not be solved otherwise.
It's over. This is a direct quote from Moist Critical himself. I'm speaking on his behalf.
Oh,
he was
wow.
too busy streaming Marvel Rivals to talk to you. So I'm here on his behalf, giving you opinions that he approves.
So what did Charlie say?
Nobody's expecting you to go full Steve Bannon here. You're a tech bro. We get it. Immigrant. But if you are on Team America, and by Team America, I don't mean
World Police.
Ben Shapiro's collection of ideas. America's not a collection.
I do think that Ben Shapiro brand of conservatism is dying out. I do think so.
Of ideas. America is a people. Americans. If you are Team America, then the most prominent talking points need to be the immediate...
Yeah, he's completely right. The people that are here, and this is the reason why I think Trump won with a lot of minorities too, is that Trump prioritized people in America. And, like, even if you're, like, a third-generation immigrant or, like, second-generation immigrant, you are a U.S. citizen and you want your best interest being advocated for over somebody else who's not in the country. Like, in my opinion, I think that because we pay taxes, the government has, like, a moral or ethical obligation to work in our best interest. I don't think that it's a moral or ethical thing to do to, like, take by threat of force taxes from people and then use that money to benefit people that are not part of that group. Just on a super, super fundamental level. And I think that's why Trump won with a lot of those groups. It's because those groups feel like he is advocating for them directly. And it's really not that big of a surprise, though, right? People want somebody who's going to advocate for their best interests. Is this really profound to say? It's not. It's common sense.
Deportation of illegals, and need to be the immediate deportation of illegals and the end of the abuse of the American worker by programs like this H-1B, the gamification of stuff like this that's set up to benefit people who aren't us. Nobody wants to...
Exactly. Yeah, if you want people in America to like you, you have to work in Americans' best interest. Yeah. Basically, and this is the issue, is that if you make an argument and you say that, for example, the economics of the GDP going up means the economy is good.
What's going on?
This is a theoretical, abstract idea. But when a person can't get a job on an individual personal level, Maslow's hierarchy of needs says that they're going to care about that a whole lot more. And the fact is that you can't use these abstractions of a big fucking economy and, this is going to be better for the economy in the long term. Why would these people care about the economy in the long term if they can't afford food today? There's no reason. Don't fuck my money? Yeah, exactly. And so, that's all they're going to care about. So the idea that, the economy is getting bigger or better, it's not really relevant. So many Americans don't do that themselves, and their existence is a burden to the country and society. You're right. You're absolutely right. A lot of Americans are useless, fat, retarded morons that would be better if they were converted into food. That's definitely true. But their family might not be. And their parents might not have been. And their grandparents might not have been. And all of those people paid into the system, paid their taxes for that system to look out for the best interest of this person who would be better suited being Soylent Green. That's it.
To solve the Japanese birth rate problem by turning...
I feel like I made both sides really mad with that, right? Didn't I? I think that's pretty much the worst way for me to have said this, right? Hopefully.
Japan into India. That's preposterous. That only would work in a computer simulation.
What is this here? Sorry.
Nobody wants to solve the Japanese birth rate problem by turning Japan into India. That's preposterous.
I've actually heard a lot of people discussing things like that immigration would be the solution. Same with Korea.
That only would work in a computer simulation where you can just change the code and make a Japanese person. I've tried it. It can't be done.
He can't be Japanese.
Okay, where Asmongold is right now, down in the basement, I have tried over 150 times to turn an Indian into a Japanese man. And the only thing I was able to accomplish was boiling them. All right?
You should have just gone to a chat room.
If you think Elon, or Asmongold if you're watching this,
what the fuck? How am I one of these people that's Jesus!
That's funny, man.
If you think you can turn an Indian person into a Japanese person by boiling them, not going to happen, okay?
Unlikely.
Go down to my basement and talk to the 150 Indians that I already tried that on. Doesn't work.
Okay.
Nobody wants to solve the American...
The average sample size for an experiment done on people would be actually 1,000, so he's only 10% of the way there. That's generally the accepted
problem. What's going to happen? We're going to run out of people. Oh, the stock prices are going to go down. Oh! That's a problem for the All-In podcast to figure out. It's David Sachs.
Yeah, nobody cares about stock prices. They're too abstract.
Sachs of what? Sachs of gold? Just start calling yourself David Sachs of gold. What's the other guy? Jason Sachs? Asmongold? Asmongold.
Okay.
David Saxon changed his name to Asmongold. The branding is already set up for you.
You gotta steal my
Asmongold
fucking
wants to
name.
Himself. You can replace his body and become the top.
Wait, what?
Gold. David Saxon changed his name to Asmongold. The branding is already set up for you. Asmongold wants to himself. You can replace his body and become the top streamer in America. I shouldn't say Asmongold wants to himself. I love Asmongold. The guy's classic. He's ultimate. He's the best streamer.
For sure. For sure.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
I've never watched him.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my wow.
No, his name is Asmongold.
He
The
saw,
only
maybe he
people
saw
who
the
want
reacts.
to fix the American birth rate problem by turning America into India are fuckers. People are not interchangeable economic units. If they're not more than that, then that's just an extension of antinatalism. That's just nihilism. That's just people don't matter. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the universe doesn't care shit. The universe cares. That's why we're here. It's understandable.
Well, I think that it's the abstractions and like large numbers of like billions of dollars and like revenue or something like that for a company. They're relevant to people who are running companies, but most people aren't running companies. So you can't make an argument to an average person that the reason why you need to do this and potentially put yourself in a disadvantageous position is so my number will go up. Because they don't care about your number, they care about their number. And even if you try to make the argument their number is your number, it's too abstract, and it's also generally not true. I think that a lot of people nowadays feel like, okay, yeah, like every single time that we have a recession recovery, 90-something% of the recovery amount goes to the top 1% of people. So, you know, there's not this sense of camaraderie there anymore. It doesn't exist. Sorry, but a lot of your generation thinks this country will run on fumes forever after throwing out all of our conservative values. I think that labeling values as being conservative or liberal is generally not a good way of looking at it. I try not to do that a whole lot. I mean, obviously, like we talk about it in that context sometimes because that's the way a lot of people discuss it. But that's not really the best way to look at things. That's my opinion.
I will speak to now.
Why a computer guy, why an engineer would think that or would want to think that, because it would make solving problems so much easier. We have hardwired group preferences. We have genetic memory. We have
Own group preference. I think that is the term in psychology that he's referring to. If you want to look up any sort of variable for that. Like an example of this is that my understanding is that, let me see if I can just find this real quick. I was going to say something incredibly sexist, and I just wanted to make sure that I was right. Women's in-group biases, women are almost 5 times more likely to have a bias towards other women than men are to other men. That's just simply one example of it. And we know this.
of culture. This is not learned
I was complaining to my mom about my girlfriend, and she starts agreeing with my fucking girlfriend. What the fuck?
It's so
It's like
deeply
5 years ago.
embedded in us that it carries on for thousands of years. Thinking of people as interchangeable
She's probably right. Yes, she was.
units, while it would be useful in a simulation or in an economic theorem, it strips them of their humanity. And by the way, it's one of the first steps towards any authoritarian dictatorship type system. It's one of the first steps towards Marxism. Is thinking of people as just labor. It's a very gross, anti-human thing to think.
This is what I was saying before. This is just basically another shade of this same thing that I was saying about how when you take a group of people and you stereotype them and then you take that stereotype and you distill it down to an individual, you're dehumanizing them fundamentally. I think that he brings up a good point, is that when you're discussing like economies of scale, this is dehumanizing to individual people who bear a negative reaction to that economy shift.
To appeal to the Redditor in you, that's middle brain shit. Stupid people at the bottom of the spectrum know that everybody is special. Everybody's special. Everybody's different. And
Everybody is special, but some people are more special than others.
Own thing. Retards know this. Geniuses understand that everybody is a unique product by and for their zeitgeist, or Zeitgeist if you want to go with the moist critical pronunciation.
Does he say it like that?
Everybody is uniquely a product of their time and location and has their place in space and time. The smart people know this, the stupid people know this. It's people in the middle with 110 IQ, which is the worst IQ to have, who think that people can just be pushed around and moved around and changed.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not gonna... Yeah. He's actually... Yes, this is so accurate. He's spitting? He is, yeah.
They can't. No hate towards Hispanics, okay? But that's why the room that I'm sitting in is covered in dust, is because the general contractor I hired used Hispanic labor. I didn't know. They laid down masonry cement. When I said I wanted polished concrete floors, masonry cement, you can't polish it. They left board marks and footprints in it. And I had to pay another crew of black people, okay, shout out to Greg, to come in here with jackhammers.
Black people, shout out to Greg.
You are fit for duty. Return to your post.
Oh, God.
And get this shit dumpstered out.
W. Greg, yeah.
I went and hired my own blacks. I went in the ghetto and hired them by hand. That's how you need to hire blacks for SpaceX. And what you get is you get lower quality construction. You get lower wages for the blue-collar workers.
Well, it logically makes sense, though, right? If it's a person who is primarily focused on making the job, finishing a job and doing a job with the cheapest amount of money spent, they are probably also going to enlist illegal immigrants to help. And in the process of enlisting illegal immigrants to help, this probably is an indicator of their general attention to detail and how much they care about doing a good job. It's basically like them not giving a shit about the quality of their employees is also probably indicative of them not giving a shit of the quality of their work. It just logically makes sense.
Who are here and fighting. You realize that people are fucking up against a wall, fighting to make ends meet? Do you understand that the American people are on the ropes right now? Your people...
Well, this not... You look...
Maybe Darth... Sounds possible. I don't...
Nearly half Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. It's bad. Oh, it's real bad. Nearly 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 76%, 66%. It seems like these numbers just keep going up. Nearly half, yeah. And a lot of these people are younger. With no savings, yeah. Now, I bet a lot of the Luigi fans are part of that 66, 72, or 80%. I wonder why.
Not the world, okay? It's the American people. That's where this shit is popping off. That's where you came to do business. The American people are your problem now.
Yeah.
To the extent that you want people to pay attention to your opinion. And by people, I mean actual people. Not Patrick Bet-David, not Ian Miles Chong, Scott Adams, not these fucking f***its that'll walk around sucking your ass because you have money and because you made an electric car.
Well, Scott Adams has had a lot, like, he's the Dilbert guy, and, yeah, he's had a lot of opinions.
But to the extent that you want that, you have to protect the American people.
Yeah.
You're all about being pro-natalism and increasing the birth rate. Why is the average dude going to want to have kids when he can barely afford to live by himself and eat Domino's? Hey.
Well, that's a good way to say it, isn't it? Yeah, in this economy. No, he's right. He's absolutely right about that. Let me think of some like parallels for this. I think that the really bad thing about that is that it encourages unconscientious reproduction. So it's literally, this is the plot of Idiocracy, is that people who are conscientious about their finances and that are shrewd and they like planning ahead, they might not have a kid, right? Or whatever. Maybe they have 1 or 2 kids. But somebody who's just, you know, I got 7 kids, they got 5 baby mamas, it is what it is. Well, those people, they reproduce like crazy. And guess what? They're going to have a lot of bad situations. Yeah, just getting it, yeah. Pop them out, 18 kids, yep.
Why isn't China importing infinity Indians right now?
Are they?
If it's such a huge economic advantage, why isn't China doing it? We need to do a naval blockade of China to make sure they don't get any of these amazing Indians.
That's what I thought. Okay. This was a joke. Yeah, that was a joke. You can't do that.
Every Indian
Yeah.
that makes his way into China is a threat because China will use their genius to get one over on us. That's the biggest threat this country's facing right. I think we need to go nuclear.
I think that there actually are cultural differences between different groups of people, and those cultural differences produce different types of people with different types of interests and strengths, on average. Like, no shit. No, I'm just being honest, right? I mean, it does. And so, like, I think that there are elements of, like, Chinese or American culture or, like, Indian culture, anything. Some are good, some are bad.
I think we need to say, if China imports enough Indians,
Yeah.
it's like diamonds. It's like nanotechnology. Indians are like nanotechnology. We have to be willing to use nuclear weapons to keep China from getting these precious Indians. That's step 1.
Fuck.
Sounds retarded, right? Because it is.
Yeah.
It's retarded. It's subtarded. Ever hear of a subtard? By the way, Moist Critical coined that term, subtard. Competing with China in
What does subtard mean?
I must
Is this like the new, like, you can't, people don't want you to say retard, so you just come up with another word that's like it? More than worse, so they're like, they're not retarded, they're like sub, like underneath. I get it, okay.
sense? GDP? Making a number go up?
Yeah.
Having software companies that are valued more highly? Competing with China in what sense? And at what cost? If the cost is making America look like Calcutta, that's not worth it. That's not a price that we're willing to pay. People keep posting these aerial drone display
I think that he's right about that.
videos of drones shaped like a dragon. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's something that a bright high schooler could do on a smaller scale, is it not? Making
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, you probably figure this out if you're like 16. It looks cool.
drones move around in 3D space. How is that an impressive problem to anybody except boneheads who are mystified by drones in the first place? Look at this. This aerial drone display.
Wow.
It's a ballet of killer drones. How can we compete with that? That's what drones do. They move around in coordinate space. Who gives a fuck? Well, it's the low-hanging fruit of robotics that mystifies people.
Well, yeah, because they can't perceive the high-hanging fruit, obviously. This is what I was saying before. You know, you have Occam's razor. I look at it, I say it's retard's razor. The dumbest answer is the correct answer. Think of the stupidest reason possible for why something is happening. That's why it's happening.
Maybe I'm wrong. Didn't we have more impressive shit in the 80s?
Yeah.
Isn't this more impressive?
One. Cover.
What's this?
With no pilot to compromise performance,
even more unusual craft.
Is
and
this
propulsion
more like
systems
fake
have been
science
designed
stuff?
and tested.
Why do we
I think
need
that's
to
the moon
compete with them?
landing.
Can't we just kick their spies out and tell them to fuck off? When do I get some Chinese pussy? Okay, am I not a big enough media figure that the CCP, is it the CCP, Chinese Communist Party?
Yeah.
Why aren't they sending these hot spies to fuck with me? Suck my dick for blackmail. When's that going to happen? China, I'm waiting, okay?
There were people on poll that were, when Kaisi was visiting, because she's from China, they were actually theory crafting about that. I read some of the threads and I showed them to her. They were so fucking funny.
I have 300,000 YouTube subscribers.
Compromise? Yes.
250,000 probably. 200,000? How much on Hide Wars? If you have over 100,000 Twitter followers, you should demand that a hot Chinese spy comes and sucks your dick. Okay? You can take a video.
Okay.
Whatever. Why is that? Am I not popular enough to get this fucking mingling? To get Bing Bing over here? Ah! A Tesla Model X and Bing Bing over here sucking me. That's my price, China. Send them over. Do we need to build giant cities that nobody lives in to compete? Do we need to turn our country into a surveillance state fucking nightmare to compete? Do we need to essentially have slave labor to compete? What type of competition are you talking about? And at what cost? Competing with China is competing with literal slave labor, and that's impossible to compete with. It's not
true.
worth competing with. And nobody who has a real sense of what matters in life thinks anything about competing with China. We've been hearing this for 30 fucking years. As long as China has been an industrial nation, there have been headlines, The Economist. I remember this in the dentist office when I was a kid. China's looming on the horizon. We have to accept a lower quality of life immediately to compete with China. That's the thrust of every article. You, the American worker, you have to take less pay and accept more bullshit because there's a big boogeyman looming on the horizon. It's China for 30 years.
I think that's a good point. Yeah. You don't need to compete with China. Their population's collapsing. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no idea. I need to compete with something that's going to ruin itself. I don't know. I mean, I think that like you do have to compete with other countries. I mean, obviously you have to an extent, but if the level of competition ends up, you know, basically disenfranchising and fucking people over, then yeah, it's probably not worth it. And I think that also like people have agreed with that. That's why they outsource stuff, and that's why they do things overseas.
Years. Before that, it was Japan. It's constant. It's to keep wages suppressed. It's to make you shut up. Elon doubles down in this tweet, offering a false dichotomy. Either we have to have more legal immigration, or you, the person disagreeing with it, you want America to fail for your own personal gain. What personal gain are you talking about?
Well, of course people are going to care more about their own personal status than the country as a whole in an abstract sense. Yeah, of course. I mean, that makes every single person is going to think like that. And they might not say it outright, but at the end of the day, that's what they're going to vote on, and that's what they're going to do. Not patriots? Well, I think that really the idea of being a patriot is a two-way street. A lot of people aren't going to be trying to maintain the existence of an entity that is actively working against them. And again, if you think it's not, that's fine. But this is the way these people feel, and so that's just it.
You want America to fail for your own personal gain. Elon, what are you talking about? How does anybody personally gain from this? The only gain happening is in stock prices of tech companies. That's the gain. Yeah. That's where the gain is. Cui bono. That's who stands to benefit from this arrangement. This tweet, it's not first principles thinking. It's not in good faith dialogue. This is a dishonest mischaracterization.
I don't think it's a dishonest mischaracterization. I think that it's just a misunderstanding of the way that people think. Because he's right, and you can make a very strong argument that stock prices do affect individuals, and you can use that to talk about 401ks or people's investments, and I think that you can make a strong argument that way. But the problem is that that argument it's kind of like what I was saying before about like a lot of philosophy is what investment? Well, like if you have a job, for example, like, and again, oh, I don't have a job, sure, but there are a lot of people with a job who do have 401ks, right? It's too speculative. It's too L rich take. No, see, you're not listening. You need to listen. Just listen, and before you come up with your opinion, listen to what I'm saying. There are a lot of things that are true factually and true in a greater sense, but that truth does not matter to an individual. Because when the individual experiences something that's negative, the only thing they're going to think about is their own personal circumstances. So you can't take an abstraction argument, distill it down to an individual person, and then say you should care because of your 401k. People don't give a fuck about their 401k if they can't afford, $400 in groceries. How true is it that America lacks STEM talents? I think that it's both true and not true.
A liar. People say things in the heat of the moment that are dishonest, though. This is a dishonest mischaracterization of the tens of thousands of people who are blowing up your website. This is not an own on Elon. This is not dunking on Elon. I know that you can bring the ban hammer down, and I know that you are going to be tempted to do so, that you already have with the Groypers, which, by the way, you have to undo that, man. You blanket banned people, not for saying or not for posting swastikas, but for stating their opinion on this H-1B issue.
Yeah, you can't ban people. Like, if the policy is that don't break the law and don't dox people, that's basically what the rules are. And then you ban people for things that aren't doxing and aren't breaking the law, then you're not following the rules. And if you're not following the rules, then nobody can predict what's going to happen. Free speech absolutist? Well, I think that it was a mistake for him to have said that. Nobody is a free speech absolutist. Almost nobody, at least. Almost everyone immediately has examples and forms of speech or, what's the word for it? Like expression that they think should be against the law. I am? Well, no, you're not. I mean, like, for example, like child sexual abuse material. Do you want that? That's free expression, right? That's a person expressing themselves. Do you want them expressing themselves that way? I don't. Okay. So let's just stop. Well, yeah, fraud. Yeah, exactly. That's against the law. Just move on.
Complete violation of the trust that the people you wanted to like you placed in you when you said that you're for free speech. It's straight George W. Bush. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists.
There it is.
That's what this is. You're either agreeing with me or you're fucking an enemy.
Yeah.
You're an enemy. It's not an argument. It's not a well-reasoned...
Yeah, people should not be getting banned for disagreeing with us, even if they disagree in a stupid way. Why do you got so many retards in your chat now? I think actually I don't. I think actually the majority of people in the chat are smart. There's a handful of clowns. Of course there's a handful of clowns. But in a general sense, we got a lot of smart people in chat. People that are thoughtful, intelligent, and add a lot to the stream. But you're always going to have some goofboys that are going to be sprinkled in there. It's 34,000 people watching the show. Big surprise, there's some of them that are idiots.
Position. It's just my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Is that what free speech is? Is that who you are?
Well, that's what free speech was on Twitter before Elon. It was. It's like you either have this opinion or you get banned.
Yeah, but you can be like Ellen DeGeneres. You can be like The Rock. And you can get Ozempic, you can get breast implants, start going on The View. Whatever you want for popularity. You can do that, of course. But to the extent that you have popularity,
sounds exciting.
You keep digging this hole, it will be misplaced, and it'll be there because you're rich. What does winning actually mean? Healthy, functioning societies, they need more than gadgets. They need more than Marvel, more than boy slop. They need a shared ideology, heritage, history, beliefs and values, religion, or they collapse and they crumble. That's Babel, that's Rome, that's every empire that's been crushed because there wasn't social cohesion. basic bitch libertarian principles aren't enough. Maybe they're enough to get VC funding, maybe they're enough to create an interesting exercise of some sort, but they're not enough to hold people together. And again, we're back to
the... I think he's right about that. And I think religion even is an extension of that. Yeah, I do. I think it's an extension of that. It's very hypocritical of Reddit to allow politics on their website, but not on your subreddit. Okay. But yeah, definitely.
Idea of people as a collection of economic units. That's what
is it a Nazi dog? It's a Nazi dog whistle to say that there's a shared culture cohesion is good. I mean, I feel like I don't think that's a Nazi dog whistle. I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's just not. I mean, that's not it.
Foundation of Marxism, that reality is just math. And thus, the justification for a lot of Marxism is also...
I think that this is a huge issue, like outside of like Marxism or anything. Like, a huge issue is that a lot of people that have, I would say, above average intelligence can't understand the way that an average person or a below average intelligence person thinks. And so they can't reason out and understand what this person values. So they keep trying to appeal to them in ways that are not immediate, not direct, and not first-order principles. These are not things that you immediately are being affected by. And I think for a lot of people, religion, community, and these kinds of things do really matter a lot. And you can say that they shouldn't matter, but even if you're right, according to them, you're still wrong. And that's the issue, is that the strongest argument isn't an argument. And a lot of people are persuaded by things that transcend logic. And this has been something that I have unfortunately learned a lot in my life. Is that, like, I've always assumed that, well, if you just explain the truth to people, then they'll just listen to you. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life over that. You just tell people the truth. Just be honest. Just explain it to them. No, that's not how it works. Not if they're too dumb to understand the truth. Well, or that the truth doesn't matter to them. That's another really big component, is that a lot of people are selfish. And you think about it, right? Logically, people have evolved, and the ones that weren't selfish probably got filtered out a few million years ago. So there's a whole... The book that invented memes, the word memes, is called The Selfish Gene. It's like a whole type of study inside of psychology. It's a huge component.
So what leads Silicon Valley libertarian type people to attempt to quantify the unquantifiable. Yeah. Mount Rushmore, the space program, the interstate system, motion pictures, electricity. Yeah. These are all things that are not quantifiable. So they're quantifiable in the sense that you can look back and you can say that they cost X amount of dollars, or that a certain amount of...
A good example of this, I don't know if anybody watched any of the, like the old movies, it's the Kingdom of Heaven at the end of it. It's like, what's Jerusalem worth? And then Saladin is like nothing, and then he goes everything. That's exactly what Sam is talking about. That's exactly what he means. Yep.
And steel was used in their construction.
Yeah. Such a great line.
But these dream projects are unquantifiable.
Amazing
There's
movie.
No slider.
Old
in the
movie
program
from Joseph
where you can crank up the number of Indians to 200 million and bring the American dream to fruition faster. Okay? There's no
a lot of Indians.
Data entry point where you can bump up the Indians and get Chrysler buildings popping up everywhere, more Art Deco construction. We do not need more bloated code bases, more tech gadgets, more poorly run hotels, more work ethic, okay? What we need is leaders willing to fight for the American people, not for corporations, not for the idea of America, but for the American people. That is the only
That's why they sabotage Bernie.
thing that we need
Twice.
on the brink of collapse, on the eve of our crumbling. It needs to be something higher, a higher ideal.
Who is this guy? Well, he's a comedian. Yeah, he's a comedian. And he makes funny videos a lot. And yeah, Sam Hyde. It's Moist Critical. It's the ghost of Kiev.
Than tech company market caps.
Yeah.
If it's just that, then it's just noise. It's just not reality. Reality is the hundreds of thousands of kids who are graduating with massive college debt,
Yep.
hundreds of job applications. They're being looked over for people who are not us. That's not a meritocracy. That's not some idealistic, high-minded thing. It's just money. Apple and Google might win, but America will be worse. The soil that all this winning flourishes out of is salted. And that means that the next Apple, the next Google...
This is so wrong. I think that a lot, and this is what I was saying before, a lot of the people that focus on analytics and they focus on, like, well, statistically, I think that a lot of people are really missing the big point that he's talking about, is that those things are not relevant to people when they can't pay their bills. These are not important. And I think this is probably one of the biggest issues that the internet has, is that it's very hard for people to discuss values because nobody is willing to be empathetic and accept that other people's values that are different than their own have merit in their own right. And I think that this is the problem, is that you have a lot of people, again, who are, you know, I would say above average intelligence in a lot of cases, that just simply can't understand why these abstract concepts are not compelling to an average person. But they're not. And I think that gets proven every 4 years or every 2 years. But people never figure it out. And also, most people are average. That's why they're called average.
Will be Chinese. Potentially the next SpaceX will be Chinese. Wouldn't that be strange? Wouldn't that be interesting if China makes it to Mars first?
Oh.
It would be great for humanity. Why don't we do it? Let's do it. China makes it to Mars before America. Does that sound like fun? It's just humans. They're just interchangeable economic units. Why wouldn't we want that? I think we do it. It sounds good to me. How do we define winning?
I think a really good example of this is actually a point that Neil deGrasse Tyson brought up, is that one of the big reasons for people to go to the moon and to focus on space exploration is to inspire the next generation of people that want to go to Mars and explore more of space. And I do think that it creates that outcome. Tyson's an asshole? Okay, well, he was right about that.
That was Asmongold that I spit on. I killed it. I'm not dissing Asmongold. I'm just playing around. I spit on...
What, I have water on me? It's going to kill me? Is this it? This is another shower joke? Is that it?
Moist Critical. I'll spit on his face.
Is that it?
Fucking guy. No, we love Moist. We have a deal with Moist right now. It's for nicotine pouches. These are Moist's nicotine pouches. I call them Moist. Did you know Moist
Roach
is a
joke?
Yiddish word? I didn't know Moist Critical is actually Jewish. Did you know that? Crazy fact. Winning is winning.
That's what I said, bro. People were saying that I'm Jewish because Asmongold. Really, really funny. Really funny.
Making it so that tech companies have even higher valuations. Is that winning? It's the valuation of Netflix. I figured it out. That's why we're not winning, is because Netflix stock isn't high enough. That's the only way to win.
You have to add more commercials.
Kill my neighbors and burn them alive and blow up my car, but it's okay because Netflix is worth $3 trillion.
That's a lot.
I want to cut my cock off and scramble my brain with fucking fluoride. I'm going to win because Netflix is worth $3 trillion.
Yeah.
I can't believe the dollars are this high. I can't believe we're winning this much. The dollars are this high.
I think a good personal example of this is the amount of people that were trying to assure average like citizens that, oh, well, the economy has made a big recovery, and then somebody goes to the grocery store and they see, I don't know, like a box of cookies is like $6, and they're like, no, it hasn't. You're lying.
We have
Bacon
such
is
good
$30,
drones and
yeah.
spying technology. We're winning. That's the most retarded thing I've ever heard. At least leftoid medicine vaccine brain is. Bleep that out, please. I said people. At least people whose blood has been replaced with vaccines and are so far on the left they salute Mickey Mouse. They and are so far on the left they salute Mickey Mouse.
Stupid. Oh God. Wow.
They think that they're helping people.
Yeah.
If winning is just drones doing an aerial display while a robot jerks me off to sample my DNA, then everything is lost. Yeah, I killed a homeless person today, Chris. Did you know that? It was free speech. I said, you fucking dirty ass bum ruining my street. I'll kill you. And then I used a speech gun to shoot a speech bullet into his speech head.
Oh, God.
I worked an NFL cheerleader team. The guys, too. I used free speech on them. Do they have male cheerleaders in the NFL?
I don't think so.
National League. Look it up, please. Does the NFL have male cheerleaders? That is awesome. That's true. A third of the league is male cheerleaders. America is the greatest country on earth.
Wow.
Here's your male cheerleaders.
Is that a real
everybody
thing?
on fentanyl, everybody working at the...
I feel like you do have, like mascots are male cheerleaders in a way. Like if you think about it, they kind of are.
Angelo's, everybody working at the mall, they're all retards.
Kind of.
Everybody who's had their lives destroyed by Big Pharma, by the grist mill of inflation and taxation, everybody that's been betrayed by their leadership in this country, are they all retards? Is everybody who's got...
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of them actually are. But if there's so many of them that they're the majority, then if you're looking to win an election, you need to appeal to retards. That's the truth. That's it. Yeah, question resolved. Yeah, no, I think the truth is, I think a lot of people are really dumb. I do, and I feel like in so many cases, this proves itself to be the fact. Like maybe just ignorance of the truth? No. I think that a lot of people are actually just stupid. Straight up.
Sorry to say.
Like I really think that.
He's right. A lot of
Like
stupid
and
people.
it's half the
Slow
people are
is
dumber.
one
Yeah.
thing. Slow
half
is
the
one
people
thing.
are dumber than average.
Stupid
Doing
is
the math,
something
that
else.
checks out.
And this is a lot of people who has $400 in their bank account and is getting hit with overdraft fees and has the landlord from hell. Are they
It's
all
not just the overdraft fees, it's the low balance fees as well. That you have to pay money each month to have the money in the bank. You have to pay to give the bank your money because you don't have enough money for the bank to make money off of your money.
Tards, you work at a sub sandwich shop. You
Fuck, really?
couldn't
Yeah.
invent PayPal. If you really believe that these people are all retards, then you have no place in the discourse going on about the future of this country. You are just a computer guy. And I don't think you really believe that. I hope to God that you don't. But if that's really what you believe, then you're not a leader. I could say fuck you. I could say take a step back and fuck your own.
Well, no, I think it is true. It's just that you can't. Like, basically, my viewpoint is that just because people are stupid doesn't mean that they're not entitled to human decency. So, like, it's the same as, like, I don't really feel bad for people that get scammed, but I don't want people to get scammed. Like, I don't feel empathy or sympathy for them, but I feel like a responsibility to help them. Does that make sense?
Would you
Face. But I'll say this. If you really believe that the American people are retards, which they are, we got male cheerleaders
we
in
all
the
know
NFL.
this.
But if you really
Everybody
do
knows
not have in your heart grace and respect for the Homer Simpson vinyl siding economy shit
You got
box
to keep in mind, Homer Simpson was a manager of a nuclear fucking power plant. He's not that stupid.
driving retards who
Yeah.
make your dream possible. If you have a heart, if you are a human being, then that will sting harder.
And you got to keep in mind also, like, The Simpsons caricatured Homer Simpson after, like, maybe 10 seasons or, like, 8 seasons. But early Simpsons, Homer wasn't, like, the brightest, tool in the box, but he was an intelligent, hardworking, good guy.
Possible. If
got
you
worse,
have
he
a
did.
heart, if you are a human being, then that will sting harder than telling you to go fuck yourself. You can do the go fuck yourself all day. I tell myself to go fuck myself. You can say that all day. Fuck you. Fuck you. I say that in the mirror when I wake up and when I put makeup on. Who gives a fuck? If you
Yep.
believe these people are retards and you don't have any goodwill towards them, then you're not a leader. You're just a nerd. And there's plenty of those. There's plenty of nerds who got lucky. I bought Bitcoin, Magic the Gathering online exchange.
Oh!
I got lucky. There's no shortage of nerds who got lucky. There's this disturbing idea from the BoomerCon right that America is just a collection of ideas, and you bring everybody in the world, the teeming masses who are desperate for a half gallon of milk, you bring them here and all of a sudden they're hit like lightning with this idea that makes them able to make this country stronger. This country's never been weaker, and it's never been more open to foreigners who aren't us. These two things.
I don't know. I think it used to be way more open, right? Because, like, you just have people coming over on boats and shit. But, like, I don't really know how true that actually was. So it's hard really for me to say, like, gangs in New York, etc. And so, like, yeah, I'm not sure about that. Is somebody here? Yeah.
If the Empire out,
They're not unrelated. They're directly related. Would Ben Shapiro say the same thing about Israel? Israel's just a collection of ideas. Would Vivek say the same thing about India? India is just a collection of ideas, really good ideas. That's why they're doing so good. Grope women on the train. That's not a glib remark, by the way. I make a lot of jokes about Indians in my stand-up act. I had an Indian woman come up to me after a show. I thought she was going to chew me out and beat my ass, ear-beating Indian style, for the jokes that I made. She said to me, "Thank you for saying that. I went there with my 13-year-old sister, and they pulled her pants down on the train."
Jesus Christ.
Is that an Indian idea? When we bring them over, does that idea suddenly vanish and they get the neural net download of American ideas? Is that how it works? The people who are mad at you right now don't view America as a collection of ideas. It's not an economic zone. I hate how there's this argument against Americans asking them what they built. If you're so great, what did you build? What did you build? Nothing significant that gets built gets built on an individualistic scale. The greatest things that humans have built, cathedrals, which if you disagree with this, it's just, you're wrong. I mean, computers are pretty up there, but cathedrals are a good example of this. Cathedrals are built over hundreds of years.
Yeah.
They're built not just by the army of stone masons who
They're
built
also built by the aliens, just like the pyramids are. Yep. I'll be right back. Give me a sec.
them, but by the towns who pay for it. They are the cream sitting on top of the cake. The cake is the soil. The cake is the vinyl siding dumbasses who are your customers, who are the people who pay for this shit by putting their retirement accounts in Vanguard mutual funds. They're the people who you owe a debt to, a debt for being able to do the stuff that you do. These H-1B tech workers that are coming
nobody does something like this on their own. That's always true. Yeah, and like you have to usually the government even helps people, etc.
So many of them are
this
just
has 6.5 million views on X already. God damn.
Built. They're maintaining code bases for stuff that was built years ago.
Yeah.
What are they making? Social media apps that collect all your data. They're making to-do apps, dating apps. Who fucking cares, man?
Well, dating apps.
What did they build? Mobile phone games? It's just stuff that feeds more into consumerism. It's not actually
anime
making
girls.
life better for anybody. The sentiment that Americans aren't good enough, that's one of the darker things that has happened here. I know Vivek Ramaswamy does believe it to be the case, and for him this Twitter bomb was a mask-off moment in a way that I hope it wasn't for you. But that sentiment and the Twitter deboosting, algorithm change, blanket ban, all that stuff, those are the darker things in the sense of not good for humanity, not good for the future. Running Twitter the same way your enemies did before you bought it from them.
I think that if you want to talk about banning people, it's very hard to say whether people got banned or not. I don't know. But because the reason why is that some people were putting forward information that somebody got banned, but then it had the indicator that they had closed the account themselves. Because there's two notifications. There's this account has been removed and this account no longer exists. But you could easily say that they just gave it the other notification, so it seems like they didn't. So I don't think that's really convincing to anybody, right? That already believes the other way, but took their blue checks away. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think that you should lose your verification status, because if verification status, and this was a big problem that Twitter had, is that basically Twitter had this big issue with advertising, which I guess they don't have to worry about that anymore. But at least not for a while. So they had this issue that because people that were verified ended up being kind of it was almost like Twitter gave them a seal of approval, or they're yeah, we know who you are, you are who you are. And it became kind of this is a person who represents Twitter's values. It became a really big problem when people got verified and then they said bad stuff. And I thought that Elon made a very good decision by taking verification and just making it a subscription rather than this weird form of this nobility of social media. How fucking cringe. How extremely fucking cringe. Yeah, no, just let people pay for it and that's it. Like an endorsement. Yeah, exactly.
Is that what you wanted when you bought this thing? Is that the let it sink in moment?
Yeah.
Is that what you envisioned for the global meeting grounds? And we're not talking about just making the 10% of people on the left and the 10% of people on the right mad. The middle is the Overton window. You're just talking about satisfying the Overton window.
Yeah.
This is censorship. You're engaging in censorship pretty much right off the rip here. You just bought Twitter. You just got in with Trump. You just became a Republican. You just courted the MAGA base. That's a pretty big betrayal of the role that you have stepped in to fill.
I think that most people that are aligned with Twitter in terms of values, their value aligned with Twitter, I think that they would disagree with banning people even if they were saying things that were really bad. I think that there's a handful of things that I would say that there is an overwhelming consensus that you should ban and delete this and censor this stuff. For example, illegal activities, any illegal activities, whether it's, CP, whether it's anything else that's really bad, threats of violence, and doxing. I feel those, and anime. Well, I mean, I feel those are the two actual real ones that people, pretty much everybody agrees these are bad. Everything else, no.
Whether or not it's even true, okay? I couldn't work at SpaceX. I don't have a delusion about that. It doesn't matter because you are in charge of American companies. You are an American leader. So what matters is that that's the sentiment people are walking away with after your tweet storm. It's not helped by these Patrick Bet David, wolf in sheep's clothing, cocksucker podcaster guys who are just up your ass because they have money. The extent to which you deserve to be a king, more importantly, or equally importantly, how posterity will look upon your works, is directly related to your attitude, your benevolence towards the American people.
This is one thing that a lot of people that are, I think, like, this is probably an issue that I have too, personally, is that I don't really care a lot about how people see me, and so I'm an asshole. And because I'm an asshole, I alienate a lot of people, and I make people not like me just because of the way that I communicate and the way that I act. And it is a negative. It absolutely is a negative in some cases. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I can't do anything else really besides that, right? Because I'm a dickhead. But at the same time, people care a lot about that, and they would rather have somebody who, you know, treated them right do something bad to them in a lot of cases, as long as it's not something super bad, than somebody who condescends to them and treats them like shit, help them out a little bit. And I've noticed this a lot. It's that, like, and in sales, I think this is anybody who's done sales or has been involved in sales can probably attest to some variation of this, is that the most important thing in sales is your personal relationship with the person that you're selling to. That is the most important thing, and people want to do business with people that they like. If you're real and not fake, yeah, exactly. Sadly, yes. Well, again, like, you always have people that are, you know, lamenting the fact that people are people. But, you know, true, you're right, but that's just the way it is.
Cybertruck's cool, but if America crumbles, it's because we've taken on too many outsiders who don't give a shit about the country. Then the Cybertruck will be a footnote in a Wikipedia. It'll be the DeLorean. It'll be something interesting. People look back, oh, that was kind of cool. You know why they won't be driving it? Because they'll be driving a Neo, and China will be the first to Mars.
Oh.
This isn't fixed by moving the goalposts of what an American is. It would be a lot easier if an American was just an Indian with an Ivy League degree. It would make this whole problem go away instantly if that worked. If you could just wave your hand and say that an American is a Guatemalan who was born here, that's an American. We wouldn't have to have this painful conversation. It would be so easy if you could do that, if it were a computer simulation. That's Marvel movie shit. An American is whoever Doctor Strange brings through the portal to beat Thanos. The new Spider-Man is an American. It's a lesbian from Sri Lanka who just came here to start up a cupcake business. But she listens to Cold Wave. And she just came here to start up her hair dye business.
Oh.
She's an American. She's here for the American dream. That's not reality. That's math. That's Marxism. That's computer programmer.
I don't think that it's binary. I think that, yeah, obviously if you replaced all of the people in America with people that aren't in America, would it still be America? The answer is no. But I do think that there are a lot of people that embody American ideals that come over to the country and are a positive for the country. It's a matter of degree more than it's a matter of reality. Because I think that it's very obvious that, like, we all know people probably, if not personally, then you know people, like, you know, just in media. These are people who are not Americans by birth, maybe, or, you know, their family wasn't, or maybe their parents weren't, but they come to America and they have a, you know, a lot of people come to America because they like those ideals and they want to be a part of that. And I think that's important to have, right? It doesn't mean to just import every single person. No, of course not. But to have some of that is not a bad thing. What are American ideals? I would say American ideals are... Let me think. Extreme individuality and extreme individualism. I think that's probably the core of most American ideals. Yeah, and like from that, like that, if that's the tree, there's like branches that are, you know, like representative government, branches that are like, you know, liberty and freedom of speech and owning a gun. But that the tree there is individualism. I think that's the main thing. self-determination, self-preservation. Yeah, sure.
Simulation, bullshit. We all know what an American is.
Yeah.
And all these paragraph-long definitions and high-minded ideas, it's just propaganda. We know what an American is. And if you're not here to help the American people, then your usefulness to us is over with. The right wing, Republicans, conservatives, etc., they are trolls and memers and shit posters, and they have acerbic ideas.
It's crazy how every single other politician has like a professional photo of themselves as their picture, and then Donald Trump looks like fucking Braveheart with war paint on, and it's the American flag, and it's some AI generated image, and he's the president. Okay.
Also the most forgiving people. They're the most forgiving people. Anytime anybody does anything remotely
Punisher,
based,
yeah.
they are absorbed by the right. Anna Kasparian.
This is what happens with me, is that like I have a lot of, and you guys can probably see this because like I disagree with Sam on a few like a few elements here. I have a lot of left wing ideas, right? I mean, I wouldn't really even consider myself right wing, but a lot of people do because again, I think that there's a lot of people in the right wing that are not really used to having allies.
Talking about not feeling safe in her neighborhood. That's based, man. Anna Kasparian was red-pilled this whole time. I can't believe it. Damn. People, broadly speaking, do not expect you to be full-on 1950s racist Hank Hill.
Anna Kasparian, she was one of the co-hosts of the Young Turks for like over 10 years. And so she, I think, had like she had an experience where she felt unsafe or was made unsafe in a public place. And then she complained about it, and then people got mad at her for complaining about it, I think. And then that kind of radicalized her. I think that's basically what it was. I could be wrong, but like that's what I remember it as. So that's sexually assaulted? Yeah, no, I didn't want to get like graphic, but yeah, basically.
Get him out, guy. Get him out of here! That's not what they're looking for, okay? They're fine with the Silicon Valley tech version of the occasionally based, occasionally Neil deGrasse Tyson soy face. They love that Elon.
What I mean by radicalized, some people are saying that as if like her viewpoints now are normal. What I think happens a lot of times with people, and I could use her as an example. I could also use Elon Musk as an example. I could use J.K. Rowling as an example. I could use Nick Merckx as an example. And I think that I could probably come up with a few other names, is that a lot of times people display one form of a right-wing viewpoint, and then that immediately causes them to get alienated from left-wing communities, which causes them to go farther to the right than they would naturally would have gone, because those people were pushing them away so much that they found another group, and it shifted them more. Joe Rogan's another great example. It shifted them more to that other side than what would have naturally happened through their own personal inertia. You see kind of what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's what I mean by radicalized. And those are some examples of, I think, it happening.
It's this idea that Americans aren't good enough, this misunderstanding of what America is. You're just as bad as the people you bought the website from, if this continues to be the case.
True.
Are you able to listen to valid criticism? It's not from Russian bots. It's not a coordinated attack on you. It's tens of thousands of people pissed off because they think you betrayed them. I hope to God you're a leader. And the rest of you can keep watching this right now. Check it out.
I think that I think most people are probably frustrated that Elon said some of the things that he said, but I think that the issue also is the way that it's communicated. And I feel like the issue, like, for example, like Vivek Ramaswamy saying, like, that American culture is lazy. I think that if somebody like Donald Trump said that, or I said that, I mean, not that we're equivalent, but like a person who is like a native-born American who's a white person, let's just speak plain English here, said that, I think that it would have been received in a much more positive light. And I think that the main reason why it was received in a negative light because it was coming from a person who was perceived as an other. I don't think so. Really? You don't think so? I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of criticisms and commentary on like American culture being aesthetics and like face value first and substance later. I feel like that's been incredibly common for years, and I think that a lot of people have expressed that. Yeah, fakery. Yeah, Vivek's native born. I'm not arguing about that. I think Vivek's an American too. I like Vivek. I think Vivek's great. I even agreed with his post. I think he's right. But what I'm saying is that when you're conveying a message, the messenger matters. And the way that you convey that message matters as well. And you might think that it shouldn't matter. And I actually, in fact, agree with you in a lot of cases. I think that people should be able to look through the bullshit and they should be able to just see the message and think about the idea. But the fundamental reality is that that's not what happens. What happens is that if you communicate something in a way that's extremely aggro, a really great example of this is, I think, Destiny. Destiny communicates a lot of ideas that, in a lot of cases, are factually accurate in a way that alienates people. And I think that's very evident in if you read comments about him or you read people that are discussing things about him, is that a lot of people don't like they don't like how he says things and the way that he says things, and that causes them to say what he said was wrong. Doesn't he? No, I'm saying, like, yeah, he's aggro, exactly. And doing that ends up alienating more people. It's a dumb take. Yeah, kind of it is. That's my point. Is that it's what I said originally, is that the strongest argument isn't an argument. That's my whole point. That's the entire point of what I'm saying. Do you get, like, kind of where I'm... do you guys see where I'm coming from with this? Like, I'm not crazy, am I? You think people get shit here? Oh, I'm sure, right?
Damn.
Yeah. Let's see where you're coming from. Yeah, no, I think it's a huge factor. And I feel like I've made that same mistake myself in a lot of cases.
No. Out asmongold.com / what's the guy's name? Moist Critical. That's the website. asmongold.com / Moist Critical.
What?
You can now, if you're not Elon, you can jump over to the regular video and start watching. What I actually believe, I think that the U.S. economy is grinding to a halt, and that the tech bros and investors, it's like someone tweeted about this, the bubble in the Japanese economy, where Japan was faced with the decision to either start importing people or get ready for a long winter. I saw that tweet and that immediately rang true. I think that these investor bros are counting on AI to offset the loss in productivity of this dying empire. I
think that it will. I think AI will replace it. AI and automation will replace 70% of the jobs. And I think it will happen within our lifetime. That's why I've always been a big advocate for universal basic income. I think that's what's going to happen. Now, you could maybe try to make laws to prevent this from happening as quickly, but I think that inevitably this is what the outcome will be.
Being realized that AI is, for all intents and purposes, a glorified spell checker. I use AI all the time. I'm a pro subscriber to ChatGPT and Perplexity.ai. I have Perplexity AI as my default search engine, and it's about as good as searching forum posts was 20 years ago. It's not.
That's really good. I think that he's downplaying it way too much. I feel like if we really think about it, what form of technology 20 years ago isn't way better than today? I really think that AI is going to continue to get, like, infinitely better. And I think technology will, as, like, a whole. Dying empire? Well, I mean, I think that, like, no, I think he's talking about Japan, by the way, for that. So I'm getting my PhD in AI. Yeah, sure, but like AI is still super inaccurate, and even then it lies. I think that you're right, but that does. I don't think that's a counter argument. Yeah, I don't think so.
Not some revolutionary thing. It's extra-dimensional autocomplete. The words have weighting and tone and various other dimensions that are vectors, and what you get at the end of it is an article that can almost fool a computer into thinking it was written by a human. I think that
a lot of people get fooled by AI now. And I think that the best evidence of that is how we don't see as much AI art anymore. Because, in fact, I think we see even more AI art than we've ever seen before. People are dumb? Yeah. And I think it will become more and more common.
There's a game of musical chairs going on with money, and people are desperate for a way to keep that game of musical chairs going, even if it means fucking us over. The idea that these tech guys want to bring in exceptional people is just not true. They're looking to hire basically slaves who can't leave their...
I think that they want to do both. I think that they do want to bring in exceptional people, and anybody who is driven to make their company exceptional wants to bring in exceptional people. But the reason why they want to bring in exceptional people is so the exceptional people make more money for the company. And so there are two ways that you can make more money. You can generate more sales, or you can save more money.
Company without leaving the country who will work for 50%. That's the other thing. They keep saying they'll work 80 hours a week, which is bullshit. Nobody works 80 hours a week. They work 20 hours a week of actual work, and the rest of the time is spent fucking around on the phone and showing the boss that they're working 80 hours a week, sitting in the office. They're not actually working 80 hours a week. And furthermore, why should anybody have to work 80 hours a week? Why is this a...
So again, yeah, true, by the way. Should look up H-1B visa requirements? No, I'm saying that H-1B visas, so there's a separate visa, it's called like an O-1 visa, and that visa is mainly for like these super high performers. And I think, for example, and these are people inside of every field. Like, for example, I think XQC got one, since he's like, one of the top streamers. Yeah. So it's not extremely uncommon either. But the point is that I think that obviously anybody who wants to improve their company not only wants to hire the highest performers, but they also want to pay the lowest amount of money possible, because that's the highest form of optimization.
Race to create slaves. Why is that a good thing? Why is that a humane thing? Why is that good for humanity?
Yeah.
How is it possible, if you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're left or right, why is it a good thing to want slaves? They'll work 100 hours a week. They'll work in their sleep. They'll work 200 hours a week. They'll work infinity. They'll have no lives. That's not a good thing. If you want more hours out of somebody, you have to...
I think that there's really a very it's very hard for me to say, because like usually like I spend a lot of time invested in like doing content or doing things that are surrounding my content, right? And I would say that I probably spend way more than 40 hours a week doing that. And when I was involved with like Starforge and OTK stuff at a peak, I'd say I probably did more than 80 hours a week doing it, if you include streaming and everything involved. But that also, there's like a cost to that. There's a huge social cost to that. I was very rarely social, etc., and I'm still not really. But, yeah, I hit it. Yeah, I did. It's not a good way to live in a lot of cases. It's a mental health cost. Yeah, exactly. Streaming is not a hard job, though. I don't care. Your opinion of whether streaming is hard or not is not relevant to me. It's not. I don't care what you think about that. But it's not about whether it's hard or not. It's about whether it takes time. And so if you're investing this amount of time into something, well, then that amount of time is now gone. And so that's it. And so try working as a plumber 80 hours a week. I mean, that would be awful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, I don't know. Anytime that people start discussing jobs and working with a streamer, everybody always has to, like, it's like this weird form of, like, virtue signal where, like, oh, yeah, but, like, this job is harder, that job is harder, your job is easy. Nobody cares how hard or easy your job is except for you. Nobody else in the entire world cares. Nobody respects it. Nobody gives a shit. It doesn't matter. So the entire premise of this entire value system is totally self-serving. Nobody gives a shit. Let's move past that. It doesn't matter. The point is that if you're working and you're doing that stuff all the time, you don't really have as much time to, like, go out and do things for fun. It's harder for you to, like, build relationships. It's harder for you to maintain friendships. It's hard for you to pursue personal goals. And I think that in a lot of those cases, you have a lot of people who feel like, yeah, like, this is something that, like, a lot of people invest a huge amount of time into working, and what they have to show for it is a lot of money and nothing else. Now, this might sound great for a person who also spends a lot of time working and they don't even have money either, but, you know, it's like a hierarchy of needs. After you meet that benchmark, and this is also psychologically studied, after you meet a certain benchmark of money does literally stop making you happier. This is a proven statistic. And so I think trying to expect everybody to work 80 hours a week is really fucking brutal. But it's also true that if you want to be the most successful people, you have to be a person that works constantly and is putting in huge hours. And I think that if you look at streaming, that's the case. If you look at anything, that's the case. A lot of the people that are the best are obsessed. And they hyper-fixate and hyper-focus on it. And they do it every single day. And they will outperform you if you're not doing that. Those people that work 8 hours a week want those hours not for money, but because that's what they like to do. Both, right? I mean, sure. Do you think a guy working in a different country for an American company shouldn't get an opportunity to live in America? H-1B gives that opportunity. If that opportunity comes at the expense of an American worker, then no, I don't think they should have the opportunity. It's that simple. So, yeah, I mean, because I would want to advocate for people in this country to be able to be the most advantaged. Yeah, for sure.
To pay them more, it's just money. They'll do it for $20,000. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're pretending like they're complimenting their diligence and their work ethic. What they're really saying is we can hire them for cheaper. That's what that
exactly. Yeah, and I think it's a huge issue, and I think that the issue fundamentally is, like, really kind of fucked up, because if you're relying on effectively a underclass of people that work for less money than the normal citizens do, it's kind of nasty, right? You're basically advocating for an underclass.
means 80 hours a week, or
the same with
them
illegal immigrants.
100,000 more a year. It's the same thing. They're just saying you can pay these people 150,000 instead of 400,000, or 80,000 instead of 250,000. It's just money. Any system that gets set up is going to be gamed. This one is gamed by Indians who are master gamers. Pull up the Cognizant article. This is a company that was found guilty of setting a pattern and practice of discrimination against non-South Asian and non-Indian workers. That's not the intention of the program. The intention of the program is to create a meritocracy. But like Thomas Sowell said, you have to judge things on their outcomes, not their intentions. You could make a law called the Everybody Good, Free Money, Everything Good law. But if the end result is that quality of life goes to shit, that's what you have to judge it on.
Yep.
And so this H-1B stuff, you can't judge it on the floral, high-minded, beautiful, humanistic language that's used to sell it. That's just
This is kind of what I was saying before, and this is why it's so popular. It's what I was saying about how, like, the optics surrounding a conversation are more important than the conversation itself. And it's more important that it sounds like you're doing the right thing than you're doing the right thing. And I think that, in fact, like, you guys know what I'm saying, right? Intention versus effect. Like, basically, the optics of an argument are more important than the truth of the argument. And I think that this is, like, another metaphor for, like, what Vivek was criticizing with American culture. It's just in a more like a like philosophical way. But I think it's fundamentally the same thing. People care more about optics and visuals and aesthetics than the actual outcomes. Looking good versus doing good. Exactly. Yeah. Like, looking good. Like, how many people are, changing their flag constantly on their profile picture and making tweets about the current issue, and then they end up doing nothing. They're slacktivists. There's even a word for it.
You have to judge it on the end result. Here's another one. Hire workers at a fraction of the cost of American workers. Force them to work longer hours because they won't leave their job, because if they quit, they're gone from America. This is
and
not.
Again, that's a huge power imbalance. If the company now has control over not only your employment but also your existence in the country, that's really scary.
Not helped by a government oversight committee or anything like that. It's just the case that
it's not slavery, but it's exploitation. And also, this is another component. In a lot of cases for exploitation, both parties consent to the exploitation. I think that a lot of the people that are working in those jobs know that, and they're willing to undertake that exploitation themselves. But the issue isn't necessarily between them. There's a ethical wrong that's being done here, but it's mainly that it takes jobs away from other people instead. It sounds like quid pro quo. Well, it basically is, right? I mean, that's the way anything is. How does 80K control existence, though? So you're saying that because there's not a lot of H-1B visas that it's not important? I think that you make a good point, actually. And I think also, there are a lot of people that aren't affected by this at all that are acting like it's the end of the world. You're totally right. It's a small fraction of a percent. But at the same time, it is an indicator. It's kind of like what I was saying before about how I think that the trans women competing in women's sports, how many cases of that really happen? It's extremely fucking uncommon, right? But the problem is that it is an indicator for a mindset that a lot of people completely disagree with. And it's like, if somebody thinks like this and they have this value system, a lot of people are like, okay, that's enough. I've heard enough. I don't need to hear anymore. Do you see what I'm saying? Same thing with the trans topic? Yeah, right? And because how many trans people are there that are competing in sports that are, again, why is it that every single one of them that's doing very well is, male to female? I wonder, right? And so why is this tiny fraction of a fraction of a think about it, right? You have all of the people, how many of them are trans? How many of those people are playing sports? How many of those people playing sports are male to female, and how many of those want to compete against their chosen gender rather than their selected gender, right? We're talking about these tiny, infinitesimally small concentric circles, but it becomes a national issue because it is an indicator of an ideology and it's an indicator of a thinking process. And that's the reason why people have an issue with H-1B visas, because if you want to talk about material effects, I think you make a good point that 80,000 people isn't the end of the world. Sure.
Set up a system that can be gamed, it gets gamed. That's how people work.
Men
They're looking
having
for
a
the
biological
least
advantage.
resistance.
Yeah.
They're looking to maximize their benefit from the system. That's just human nature. Massive payouts over claims they discriminated against American workers in favor of foreign workers. Mm-hmm. Apple paid $25 million to the DIA, which is like $25 to a regular person.
Yeah.
Apple engaged in a pattern of citizenship status discrimination in recruitment positions. The claim that we can't find talented people.
This guy's the woke left equivalent on the right. I've seen that the whole woke right messaging. I don't think that really works. And the reason why I think that it doesn't work as messaging is because a lot of these people have already been called racist. They've already been called, homophobic, transphobic, anything like that. I feel like if labels worked, we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. It's being woke, wanting to benefit your citizens first and not bring in a group of people that are locked into a exploitive relationship with an employer that's negative for natural citizens. I don't think that makes you woke, and I don't think anybody else thinks that either. It's a completely astroturfed like thing that's being said,
If some-
that
I'm-
I don't think that even the people saying it believe it. I think they're only saying it because they hope that
Thank you
it
for
will make
bringing
the
us-
person feel stupid and not say what they think.
What was this?
I was putting your people first woke who said that's an idiot. Yeah, they just wanted to shut up. Yeah, exactly.
People here is
It's
nonsense.
yeah. It's a
dishonest.
5-year-old insult reversal. You're gay. No, you're gay. Yeah.
The
there
claim
it is.
should be that we can't afford to pay talented people enough, or we don't want to. Sorry for getting overly serious here with you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think you should buy Bitcoin.
Oh,
There's this tendency to want powerful people or people in a leadership position. You get emotional when their every worldview doesn't line up with yours. You know, Trump's not
Yeah.
based enough, or Joe Rogan's too whatever. But these are the men who define our times, and I think it's important you allow them to be flawed people to some extent, but also to push back when they go nuts. But in this case, I think
he's completely right. And this is like another issue that people have, is that you're either a hate watcher or a sycophant or a dick rider, right? A hate watcher or a dick rider. You can't be a normal person who follows a person for like their views on these things, but you don't agree with other things that they believe, right? Like, for example, I think Elizabeth Warren has a lot of really great opinions about like how corporations should be run and how they should be regulated. And I think that she had great opinions on student loan forgiveness, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with everything else that she said. And so I think that, again, it's people can't itemize ideas, and they have to look at people as a whole. It's binary? Yeah, exactly. Elizabeth Warren is a hot take. Well, I don't know. I think if you go back 10 years, 15 years or so, and you look at like a lot of the things that she said, I think that almost everybody in here would probably agree with her. I do. I think that if you took a speech of Elizabeth Warren from like the Occupy Wall Street days and you had Trump say that speech, people would be spamming based.
it's critically important. It's moist critically important.
Oh.
It's moist critical. This is the whole thing that Moist Critical says every time we talk to him. He put it all on the line to become the free speech guy.
Oh.
And to turn Twitter into the global discussion space of the world. And you don't accidentally become adored by people. He can't just say, oh, I was just building a business and then I was saying stuff online and then I guess people looked up to me. No. Mm-mm. There are plenty of quiet billionaires. There are plenty of quiet money makers, inventors. There are plenty of quiet engineers. There are plenty of people who aren't going to the Met Gala in the Satan costume.
Oh.
Okay? There are plenty of people like that.
The
You don't
Illuminati.
accidentally become the hope of a nation. You don't accidentally become the hope of a generation. You don't. So if he wants that, I think he can have it. And I think he deserves a shot at course correction. He's been under attack by everybody for his whole entire career. So I think he deserves
people
that
been mad.
shot. If he fumbles this, then that's his legacy. I don't have any sort of committed opinion as to what's going to happen from here. I'm mostly concerned with Asmongold, as we said. Moist Critical. What games are they playing? Tall Guy. What was that game we played? Tall Man Run. That's what I'll be doing tonight. A little bit of Raid
Oh my
Shadow
fucking
Legends.
God.
Is that the game?
Sponsor.
Last War Survivor.
Oh.
Big into that these days. I'm mostly doing that. I'm Elon's number
So
one ranked.
is it like just basically internet opinion, guys? Is that it?
Best prices this side of the
Diablo
galaxy.
4,
Check.
huge achievement.
Oh.
I'm number one ranked Raid Shadow Legends. Raid what? Last Survivor? I'm number one on that Last Survivor. Check me out on the boards there,
Wow.
guys, all right? Boom. Peace.
There it is. Well, I would like to know which parts of this video you disagree with. I think that, like, the only... I mean, it's a 40-minute video, right? I mean, it's been a long fucking video. I'll link you guys the video. I think that the majority of it I did agree with. I do think it's important to let people come over and immigrate sometimes, like to a degree. I'm not a uncapped immigration kind of guy. I think that it's important that it's not just like, you know, a huge deluge of people. But I do think that, and I think if you look at a lot of like older immigrant communities that have integrated into American culture, I think that there are those people, and I think Elon Musk is an example of that. Of a person who is, you know, really African American who's come to America and, you know, basically been an American. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that. But otherwise, I think that Sam brought up a lot of good points. And I think that really the issue is that, and this is a problem that I think a lot of have even. It's a problem that I think a lot of like smarter people have, is that they try to argue statistics in order to invalidate a person's lived experience, and this never works. And so what happens is that they say, well, you know, statistically this graph is going up. Statistically these numbers are going up. But when this person is still having to pay $6 for eggs, or they can't afford health insurance or something like that, they don't care if the economy is recovering. They care if they're recovering. And I think the big problem is that, like, when Elon Musk or like Vivek or any of these guys try to make an argument to like why we need H-1B visas, I think that everybody basically agrees that having people that are like really high performers is a good thing. And like bringing people over, like, you know, Operation Paperclip, like I think most people agree, yeah, this is good, this is great. But when those people end up just being there to serve the purpose to undercut American wages, that sucks. And it's also a matter of degree. I think if you're bringing over 1,000 people, that's a totally different thing than if you're bringing in 1 million people. And that's a totally different thing than if you're bringing in 10 million people, right? So, like, everything, like, it's like making, and obviously, like, the amount of something does matter. It's the same as, like, if you're cooking anything, you can say, like, oh, well, it's just a little bad, but it'll just be bad in, like, a small level. Not really. In almost every cooking recipe, if you used more of any of the ingredients, it would make the food worse. Unless it's sugar with Kool-Aid, it's just going to make it worse. So there is a medium for that happening that's beneficial. Are we comparing Operation Paperclip with Vandam? We're not going to, like, guys, I get that, like, people have these opinions. This is not a safe space for people to be racist. I'm sorry. You're a retard, number one, because the only person who's comparing that is you. I can't have this on my stream. Even if I think your racial joke is funny, I have to ban you for it because it will get me in trouble with Twitch. Okay? So if you type stuff like that, we're going to have to ban you. It's not my opinion. This isn't something that, like, I'm like, oh, I want to punish you. We can't have this. Is that Pajit is absolutely a racial term. It's a racial pejorative term used towards Indians. It absolutely is. It's unequivocally. Yeah. What are we talking about? I'm Indian. I didn't even know that. No, I know. And it's not like on the level of like the N-word, right? Because I can say that and I'm not calling it the P-word. But at the same time, yeah, no, we can't have people saying that. Sorry, guys. And anyway, you know, is 4chan speak in public? What? Well, I mean, you don't use it on a platform that you're going to get banned for using it on, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So, yeah, anyway, it's advanced racism. I think it's just, it's intermediate. But anyway, I really think this video was pretty good. And I think that Sam did a really good job illustrating a lot of people's anxiety and fear. And I think that I think this video was a lot better than I had expected. I didn't really know what to think about it because, like, I've watched Sam Hyde off and on over the years, right? I mean, yeah, sure. And so I didn't know what to think, but I think this is a very good video. And I think it was thoughtful, and there were a lot of points that he made that I know that there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with. But I think people need to look at the reality that other people don't see the world the way that you see the world. And based off of, I think, a lot of people, and I would say even the majority of people, and I think the H-1B visa argument kind of proves that, a lot of people do not care about an abstract idea of America when they can't get a job. That's what they're really going to care. So yeah, it's a reality check. Yeah, he's dramatic though. I don't know. I'd have to look, and we'll see a few more comments about this. And it's a great time we're living in. Sam Hyde's the voice of reason. I mean, I think that he's come up with, like, he said a number of things. Like, I remember he said that the media now is like just a cascade of what's it called? A cascade of, there's not sirens calls or something like that. Of just like these like annoying sounds. I'm trying to remember what it was. And it just like keeps people on edge constantly, right? And over and over and over. Botnets? Yeah, I don't know. Siren songs? Cacophony? No. Dog whistle? No, it wasn't the word. I'd have to go back and think about it. But yeah, it's a long time I've seen the video. Why are minimum wage workers in America concerned with H-1Bs? H-1B people are not taking the jobs of these people. It's only for tech people, and it's really hard to get. And they make you run like a dog for it anyway. Well, I'll address this. So basically, why are minimum wage workers concerned with this? Because there were a lot of people that posted images of jobs that were apparently filled or going to be filled by H-1B visas that seemed like they were not tech jobs and they were low-skill jobs. They're not taking the jobs of those people. Well, again, whether you want to argue that those images are fake or not, or they're misrepresented, that's fine. But that's the reason why they think that. It's only for tech people. Well, and there's also a lot of tech people too, and make you run like a dog for it anyway. And I think that's the problem, because if you make these people run like dogs for it, what you do is you create an ecosystem where you have to run like a dog to compete with them. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And that's kind of what his point was. Yeah, no ban. The guy's just asking, why would he get banned? He's not going to get banned. Yeah, why would he get banned? All other countries have more strict rules, yet America is supposed to be an open door. I think the problem and the reason why America is perceived as more of an open door is because of the history of America. And the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty says give us your huddled masses for yearning for freedom or something like that. So I think that the American culture has been built off of that in a more consistent way than I think a lot of older countries, and I think that's the big reason. A French fucks to that, yeah, but exactly right. I mean, this is what the French said about America. So yeah, ouch. And worked for a company that hired engineers. We did pay them lower salaries, but they worked remotely. What's the need for importing citizens now when remote working is so common? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're making an argument for outsourcing, and I think tons of people do that now, right? Of course. It's the abuse of career replacements of entry-level positions? Yeah, I think so. That's what it is. The poem wasn't on the statue originally. I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, I had no idea. I thought H-1Bs were limited in quality. They are. I mean, we already have a case study of what happens when you constantly rely on foreign talent instead of cultivating local talent. Just look at Canada. It's an absolute shit show up there. I'm going to be honest. I'm not Canadian. I don't know what's going on in Canada. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no clue whatsoever. AI and robotics are actual fear for low-skill worker, not H-1B. Yeah, I think that you're right. And I think that robotics and AI will replace almost all jobs that don't require critical thinking. And I think that they will also replace trade jobs, but not inside of our lifetime. I think that what we're going to have happen in probably 200 or 300 years is you're going to have modular housing where everything becomes uniform in a way that, like, let's say a car is uniform now, where, like, you can just take your car and it'll give an error code to the machine that reads it, and then it will tell you what's wrong with your car. But we're too far away from that right now for it to be an actual idea. Service workers will be only jobs. Well, it depends on what the service is. Do you think AI will replace healthcare workers? I think, I don't know. Yeah, I think in some cases, like, this is what I think that AI and automation and technology will do. It will allow basically 2 people to do the job of 5 people. That's basically it. And maybe for diagnostic purposes, yeah, exactly. Because there have been a lot of breakthroughs in, like, AI and being able to, like figure this stuff out and figure different types of diagnostics out. It's something that's like not discussed as much as like, you know, anime girls with big boobs, but I do think it's a huge factor. Right now, humans are misdiagnosed constantly. Remove that element. Well, yeah, of course, right? Elon, don't get Americans in a self-defense situation. This is Elon from underwater. Please don't watch this if you're not Elon. Man, please import 100 million. Elon, do not read. This is like 3 levels of memes. Oh my god. Okay. This video already set the tone for 2025. Yeah, I think that a lot of people are going to appreciate this video, and you're going to have a huge amount of people that are going to be supportive of this. And like whenever I looked at the original post about this, there were tons of people that were positive. Like if I look at the post, this is originally posted on Twitter. It now has 7 million views. Crazy amount. And he just dropped this. It's been reposted so many times. Yeah, I think that a lot of people will talk about this. It was a W video. I think that it was an overall good video. Yeah, for sure. What are the chances that Elon will watch it? 100%. He might have just, I don't know, like, maybe he watched the stream and he watched it just now.
What do you know? Yeah, I think that comedian guy, I mean, we're all allowed our opinion, but the truth is, Elon and all these ultra wealthy people, I mean, they care within the context of how much and how they wish to care. And most of them, they use politics as a way to make more money. Just like a lot of people in the government, they're in the government and they're parasiting off the American people. And that's what they do, you know? Getting pretty cold. Damn, it's almost a 2-hour video. That was real fucking close. Holy shit, that was so close. We got him done.
The airlock's closed. We're safe. These are the people who attacked the station? Who are they?
Individuals who draw on the dark side of the Force and have no mercy. We call them Sith.
Like the ones on the Fortitude, when you rescued us. Yes!
With luck, they...
No, go.
How can you have that kind...
You're Jedi.
Conserve your energy.
Oh, I gotta go upstairs. I just finish this mission, then I'll stop recording. I mean, it's 2 hours, but that video was a 2-hour video. For real. Shit. Fuck you. I'll wait. I don't think I have a shield on. I think that's what I'm doing. I'm not putting my shield up. Usually any kind of sorcerer or sage will have a shield kind of function. And that's probably what's going on here. Like my Colta tank. Damn, barely made it again. Oops.
What's your... It takes time. The enemy is... It is a... This is your work.
Okay. I guess that's it for this particular mission. Let me see if I can maneuver over there. Jeez. Son of a bitch. Just gonna keep running. Alright. I'm gonna stop the video here, take a break. I'm tired. It's been 2 hours, dude. It's a very interesting video. As usual, Osman Gold's on point, but the thing is, a lot of these guys, they make financial decisions. Government is just a means of making better deals, more money. That's all it is. It doesn't really mean anything to them usually. But some people are good rich people, and they try to do the right thing. But they're still rich people. They're still going to line their pockets. That's just the facts of life. Okay? But anyway, thanks for watching.